There are more than 2,000 real estate developers in Dubai. Some will grow your money, some are not so good investments. So here are 7 levels of Dubai developers to invest in. Level 1. Overpromising developers. The worst developers to buy from are those who fail to deliver on expectations that they create. And there are 3 main groups of expectations that developers normally set. Number 1 is delivery timeline. Every project has a deadline, the day when the construction is supposed to be completed, and investors plan their cash flow around this date. If the construction takes a lot of time, it's alright if you as an investor knew it from the beginning. It's also alright if the developer sometimes misses the deadlines. There is no big developer that delivered everything on time throughout their history. What's not alright if they fail the deadlines consistently. Take a look at this table. It shows 10 or 11 projects delivered by the same developer. You can see the estimated handover date and the real handover date. And this developer has an extensive track record of delivering projects later than they promised. 1, 2, 3, sometimes even 4 years later than expected. So if you see that, that's a big red flag for sure. And chances that now it's gonna be different are pretty low. The second group of expectations that developers set is what you'll actually get. This is about getting what you saw in the brochures, about getting the type of property you paid for, and getting the infrastructure the developer promised. And there are several real cases where there were such mismatches, and developers really hurt their reputation. One of them was the developer was selling a residential building, and they positioned it like a normal residential building. But sooner or later, many buyers realized that this is a hotel building, meaning they bought hotel rooms instead of normal apartments. And hotel rooms have a lot of restrictions. For example, in many of them, you can't stay for more than 14 days throughout a year. You can't manage the rental pricing, and reselling such units is also harder. So if the developer has ever done that, even if legally everything was clean, many people don't trust them anymore. Another case was when a developer has sold out a mini community. They delivered it in 2024, and since then, 1.5 years later, the community still has no gyms and no swimming pools. They were in the pictures, they were in the brochures, and there is a dedicated space for them in the community, but they are not built. And the expectation type number 3, and that's my favorite one, is guaranteed returns. Some developers in their marketing materials and during the sales process create a very strong feeling that you'll be getting a certain level of returns. They can be quite specific with that, and sometimes promise something like 10% guaranteed ROI. By ROI, they normally mean rental returns. And in my opinion, it sounds pretty questionable. First of all, to get 10% net rental yield, the gross rental yield should be around 14%, because of the charges, because of the management fees, etc. The average gross rental yield in Dubai is not 14%. It's closer to 5 or 6%. And in good projects, it's around 7 or 8%. But that's not all. These projects, they are normally priced higher than alternatives in the same areas. So economically, it doesn't make much sense to me. And I think many investors can be pretty disappointed if they decided to invest in such developer. And the result of investing in level 1 developer is normally returns lower than expected. Here are a couple of charts with performance of one of the developers I just referenced. They often grow slower than the market. 12% over 5 years is roughly 4 times slower than market average. Or they even decline in value. And even if they build in an awesome area and deliver some growth, this growth is normally much lower than the area average. If you're looking for high returns and you eliminated overpromising level 1 developers, it's time to talk about level 2, new and unproven developers. Investing in level 2 developers is generally more risky, but the risk is different depending on the category the developer falls into. The first category, and that's the highest risk, are the developers that delivered no projects in Dubai, no projects abroad, and generally is their first real estate experience. And sometimes their projects can be built right next to projects by very reputable developers. So logically, you expect such developers to price much lower than the market because the risk is much higher. There are several examples like that on Dubai Islands. Here is one of them. there is a building that is priced at 2,850 dirhams per square foot. That's $776. At the same time, Imtiaz, which is a really good developer, sells their project for 2.9 thousand dirhams per square foot. That's $790. But there are less riskier level 2 developers, those who have some experience abroad. And many developers say that they have huge experience in India, Spain, UK, or somewhere else. You should always check that. Check the reviews, check the pictures. Ideally, go there and check the building yourself. We do that sometimes if we see that the project has a high potential. We hire someone in the location of their previous project to go and see the building, to see if it's real and if the quality is good. And the third category are the developers that delivered no projects, but they have super experienced teams. So you don't have any reference points because they haven't delivered anything. But you can be sure that they'll do a good job. One of such cases is Beyond. Beyond is in the same group as Omnia, one of the most reputable developers in Dubai. They've delivered 22 projects, some of the most ultra-luxurious properties in Dubai. So Beyond is in the same group, and they're backed by the same management practices, construction practices. They're financially backed by the same company. So the risk when you're investing in their properties is much lower compared to other developers on level 2. Now we're getting to level 3, and I'm going to talk about some of the strongest developers in Dubai. But if you want to know what are the best developers in the city, and you want it to be backed by years of experience and data, get our insider report. This report contains our opinion on the 10 best developers, 10 best areas, and also 20 best projects to invest in Dubai real estate right now. Also, everyone who gets the report also gets our ROI forecaster. This is a tool that helps you estimate the real estate investment case. It's based on many things, including historical data of performance of certain developers. You can select a developer that you're gonna invest in, and you'll get a projection of the cash flows and the value appreciation that you can potentially get. To receive these tools, you can scan the QR code or click the link below, and someone from my team will send it to you. But please don't base your decision just on what you see in the reports. It's a great first step, but your analysis must be much deeper than that. Alright, level 3. Short-term performance developers. There are some developers that can deliver returns quickly. So if you want to resell in a year or two, or if you want to start generating cash quickly, or if you want to cash out your crypto, these are your go-to developers. The best developer in this category is Bengadi. Look at their delivery timelines. These are the projects that were delivered in 2024 and 2025. Their normal time to build is 12 to 19 months. That's super fast. And the great news is that they deliver pretty good value appreciation. This is a combination of the product itself, of the pricing, of the locations, but several of their projects over the last couple of years has appreciated by almost 40% during the construction period. That's 2.5 times higher than Dubai average. Also, the rental rates are pretty good. 9 or 10% rent to initial price ratio is quite normal for their new projects. But how do they build so fast and spend just 2 years when other big reputable developers spend 4 or even more? First, they are vertically integrated, so they have the construction company in-house. They don't have to hire anyone, and this gives them a better control over priorities and deadlines. Second, the normal flow in Dubai is selling the units and then starting the construction. Bengadi does it the other way around. Here's the timeline for Bengadi Pinnacle. Is their new project in Al Jadaf. They started the construction in 2024, but they haven't been selling anything until September 2025. But because the building was under construction for more than a year before the sales launch, they're gonna deliver it in December 2025 or January 2026. So the sales to handover period is just 4 or 5 months. Now let's get to level 4. High-yield developers. These are developers that build residential buildings that are super demanded by tenants, but the starting prices at their projects are normally not that high, especially if you compare them to the buildings of the same level. However, many investors are missing them. Let me show you why. There is an affordable area in Dubai called Al Furjan, and in this area, Imtiaz has built their first project in Dubai, called Westwood. The average price for one bedrooms in Al Furjan is 950,000 dirhams, or $260,000. The average price for one bed in Westwood is 1.2 million dirhams, or $327,000. This is 25% more expensive, and buying expensive units in affordable areas is pretty counterintuitive for many investors. But when we look at what renters actually pay for their units, the difference is not 25%, it's 44%. An average one bed in Westwood is rented for 95,000 dirhams versus 65,000 dirhams in Al Furjan, 30,000 dirhams or $8,000 difference. The thing is that Imtiaz raises the quality standards in all the areas they're building. Their buildings truly stand out, what makes their apartments the #1 choice for many potential renters. And it happened in Al Furjan, then it happened in GBC, it's about to happen in Dubai Land Residence Complex, and even on Dubai Islands. We expect Imtiaz to be much better than average, so their rental yields are pretty good. For example, here's the rent-to-price ratio for Westwood. If we calculate it against the original price, then it's 11.7% for studios and 12.2% for one beds. But even current rent-to-price ratio is pretty good, 7.5% for studios and 7.9% for one beds, meaning this is a pretty good rental business if you buy it on the secondary market. Imtiaz is pretty new to the market, and we believe that after some time, they definitely can make it to level 5. Level 5, long-term outperformers. These developers have a proven track record, many years of delivering projects that are growing faster than the market. Let me show you the data right away. Ellington almost always outperforms the area where they're building. Here is an example of GBC. An average growth rate 2022 to 2025 was 29%. And here's the growth of Ellington's buildings: 40, 43, 38, 36, 57, and 34%. Only one building grew in value slightly lower than the market, 26%. That's Eden Place. And now there is a lot of construction going on around this building. And when it's done, we expect it to catch up. But what's also interesting is that Ellington often outperforms the areas built by pretty reputable developers. They did pretty well in Shoba Heartland, and recently they delivered a building in Dubai Hills. The 3-year growth was 35% versus 28% shown by the average building in the area. And Dubai Hills was built by Emaar. So now let's talk about Emaar. They're building huge master communities, some of the most desired places to live in Dubai. Their communities often stay closed for a long time. They don't allow other developers build there, so they control the pricing, and they raise the prices with every new launch and deliver exceptional returns to their investors. Here are some examples of their communities and their growth over the last 3 years. Most of them, especially the new ones, significantly outperform the market. Next developer on this level, who also delivers strong master communities, is Miraz. All of them are showing very strong growth. We've been talking many times about Blue Waters or Jumeirah Bay, but even if we take a look at the communities where not everything played out as expected, they still showed pretty decent growth. For example, La Mer, where the big retail zone was closed. It reduced the attractiveness of the area, but still the average growth over the last 5 years is 63%. Or Cherrywoods, where the community expected to be bigger, is grown in value by 75% over the same period of time. And finally, now a sister company of Miraz, Nakheel. Nakheel is building huge areas, huge communities, exceptional landmarks, and they secure the awesome spots in these areas and deliver the buildings that keep appreciating in value even many years after the delivery. We'll show you a couple of examples. Shoreline and Golden Mile. Both of them were built more than 15 years ago. Shoreline has grown in value by more than 70% over the last 3 years. Golden Mile grew by 62% over the same period. These 4 developers are market titans. They've been delivering exceptional value growth over many years. But sometimes you can find rare developers that are great in both, generating high rental yields and high value appreciation. Level 6. Absolute champions. Let's take a look at Emaar, for example. They have a community called Creek Harbor. That's an amazing place. I used to live there myself for several years. The price per square foot in Creek Harbor grows faster than the market, but the rental yields they're not exceptionally high. The rent-to-price ratio right now is around 6%. And if you calculate the rent to initial price ratio against the price that was at the off-plan stage, let's say in 2019, then the gross yield is between 8 and 9%. Another case is Ellington. As I previously said, they delivered many buildings in GVC with quality much higher than average, and the pricing is also higher than average. And when we take a look at the rent-to-price ratio, then it's also pretty close to the area average. And now let me show you the double champion, the developer that grows in value faster than the market and delivers exceptional rental yields. This is the data for 6 their buildings they constructed in GVC. The average growth rate of their apartments is between 36 and 67% over the last 3 years, which is very high. And now let's look at their rental returns. Here's the rent-to-price ratio for all of the apartments they've built in GVC. Studios, 1 beds, 2 beds. All the rates are pretty decent, most of them around 8%, some are even higher. But it's not crazy high. We've seen similar yields by other developers, but I've just told you, they've been growing in value much faster than the area's average. So let me show you the rent to initial price ratio, which illustrates how much money are making those who invested at the off-plan stage. And here we see numbers like 10, 12, and even 14%. Nothing is lower than 10%. This developer is Iman. And despite being pretty boutique, their results made themselves known to public too. And for those who want to spot the developers like Iman before everyone else, let me tell you about Level 7, boutique developers. These developers are under radar, but they create unique properties with limited supply and deliver exceptional returns to their investors. One of the advantages they offer to investors is that their prices are not driven by the brand. Big developers, especially those who are investing huge money in marketing, can charge more, and they do charge more. Here's an example in Motor City. Shoba, a pretty big and high-quality developer, is charging 1,950 dirhams per square foot. That's roughly $530. Another developer, much smaller one, but not a newcomer, they have several buildings delivered in Dubai. We saw the quality, we know it's good, we know they're performing well. They're priced at 1.6 thousand dirhams per square foot. That's $435, 20% lower than Shoba's pricing. And when it comes the time to resell or rent the property out, you'll face much more competition in Shoba's building, because this residential complex has more than 2,000 units. That's 8 times difference. True Level 7 developers are backed by the strongest teams. For example, there is a company where one founder is a former chief commercial officer of Miras, Nahil, and Emaar. She has more than 20 years of experience in Dubai real estate. And another founder is a former CEO of Emaar. He was the CEO when they were building downtown. He was in charge of building the Burj Khalifa. And after Emaar, he worked on Atlantis the Royal and One Zabil, some of the most iconic buildings in Dubai. So when Level 7 developers launch their projects, there is a pretty high chance that they'll be great investments. And one developer like that is launching such projects soon. It's a beachfront building on the first beach row with a private beach. And this time, it's gonna be serviced. It's gonna be a brand collaboration with a boutique, ultra-luxurious hotel brand. Their venues are in the sexiest destinations around the world: Maldives, Seychelles, Courchevel, Paris, and Saint-Tropez. And each of them has a unique concept with a very low number of units, extremely limited supply. And here it's gonna be the same. It's not the final number, but we expect 50 to 60 units in the whole building. The prices are not officially announced yet, but they're expected to be significantly lower compared to all other buildings of the same level in Dubai. If this sounds interesting, we can help you invest in this project. Reach out for more details. But if you're just exploring now and you want to learn more about the Dubai areas, check out the video we made about the 7 levels of Dubai areas, from worst to best investments.